Colonization of the Turkey by Joanna Burr, Luna Arellano, and Idalia Tarin. The turkey had a variety of purposes in Aztec society. The meat, fat, feathers, and organs were utilized for medicinal purposes, as well as their cuisines. The animals also seen in their mythology, Chalchutotlin, has been seen to take the form of a turkey in the codices, and can cleanse both spirit and physical ailments. It is hard to determine how long ago the domestication of the turkey started, but evidence strongly suggests that it starts as early as Mayan and had been practiced by Aztecs. Zooarchaeological recoveries of turkeys in burial sites, as well as contemporary practices, illustrate that turkeys were utilized as underworld offerings. Carbon isotope analysis was used to distinguish captive and wild turkey remains. These isotopes showed that some remains had higher isotope ratios for corn within their diet, which strongly suggests that pre-contact societies would feed food waste to the birds. Feathers were considered to have divine properties and were very significant to these people and still maintain significance today. The picture shows that Aztec religious practices are still withheld in communities in Mexico. This is a contemporary group of Nahuatl speakers in Veracruz, Mexico. This group is celebrating an Aztec holiday, Chicomechtitl, where they had prepared food, figurines of Aztec gods, and prepared avian offerings. The offering in the picture is placed at the summit of their community to relieve the community of suffering from illness or any injury.
Hello, my name is Mary Wiaki. I am an archaeologist for the state of New Mexico, and what I am going to present today is actually how to manufacture a turkey feather blanket. When you're talking about turkeys in the Southwest, they weren't indigenous to North America. They're coming all the way from Mexico, and they're being brought up by the Aztec and traded here around 11 and 1200s. Prior to that, rabbit fur was the preferred material. So the turkey comes in, and the Pueblo are taught basically how to take care of the turkey, and it becomes their main herd animal. And these birds were not eaten. The bird was quite sacred to the Aztec, and they didn't even eat their birds. When the birds are living in South America, they have a completely different color than they do here in the Southwest. They're almost more golden, and you can see some of that golden color still left in these birds here in the Americas. In iridescent colors, they're so magnificent, beautiful bird, and I can see why some of the presidents wanted to use them as our American icon rather than the eagle. One bird yields about 600 feathers. So you're looking at a cloak that is 3 foot by 4 foot. That cloak alone uses over 15 to 16,000 plumes.
Every aspect of the turkey was honored. Turkeys were sometimes featured in art, poetry, and other forms of cultural expression. Their bones were carved into flutes, and their feathers were woven into blankets. Turkeys were used in various forms of art expression. These art forms vary from region to region. In what may be the world's most ancient tattoo kit, ink-stained needles seemingly carved out of turkey bones were found in a Native American grave from central Tennessee. The grave seems to be at least 3,600 years old. Archaeologists have found that turkey leg bones and ochre pigments have been used by Native Americans as far back as 5,520 years ago. Turkeys weren't the only bones utilized for tattoos. Large birds and animal bones were typically used. Feathers first, then meat. Interestingly enough, turkeys were domesticated by the ancient Pueblo peoples for their feathers first, and then their flesh. The earliest evidence of turkeys being butchered wasn't found until about 1,100 years ago, whereas turkey domestication comes from about AD 1 and stretches to Western European contact in the 1500s. It is still unclear as to why turkeys weren't consumed. Researchers have a few theories, a couple being that maybe eating turkeys was considered taboo, or that they were simply too important for dietary purposes.
After the arrival of colonists, turkeys became a favorite pastime of the Old World people. Fathers and sons would hunt turkeys for sport to educate young men how to use a musket and how to hunt. Turkeys became popular because they were very easy game. They had distinguished calls, not very dangerous, and are a large target that are suitable for beginner hunters. Hunting turkeys was an opportunity for young boys to learn how to be a man, and the bird also provided an abundance of meat. During and after the settlement of the Americas, the turkey was transformed from a divine sacrificial animal to an American pastime. Like their human admirers, the turkey experienced displacement. No longer were they endemic to North America, as settlers removed these birds from their homelands and introduced them to Europe. They arrived in Europe in 1519 after the Spanish conquered parts of Mexico. The birds experienced further domestication and were introduced to Britain by 1524. To briefly review the historical timeline, indigenous Mexicans had practiced domestication, and it is speculated to date back as far as 5,000 years. Spanish settlers introduced the bird to the Old World and it gained international popularity. Then, pilgrims had arrived in modern-day Massachusetts in the 1600s and had the first Thanksgiving with Native Americans. That moment solidified itself in national history, and the turkey became a holiday meat that symbolized the momentary peace shared between the Old and New World. Present-day, wild turkey populations are in decline nationwide, and millions of domesticated birds are caged and slaughtered for Thanksgiving. Today, there are several factors that are speculated to contribute to the decline of wild turkey populations. These factors are habitat loss and habitat degradation, predation, and disease. Focusing on habitat degradation, warming temperatures threaten food sources available for newborn poults. Rising temperatures have caused a misalignment in the timing of insect hatching and the hatching of poults. Poults feed on insects in their first month of life, so when their food source is hatching earlier, it leaves poult populations without enough to feed on until they reach maturity. Turkeys are not migratory birds, so they do not have the advantage of flying to different areas for more resources. However, populations continue to be within huntable numbers, and for now, this hunting favorite is still available for hunters. Colonization is the direct cause of turkey birds being slaughtered by the millions today. According to the nonprofit organization Food Empowerment Project, they estimate 270 million turkeys are killed, and 46 million of these birds are used for the holiday season. These animals are born for their meat, and as a result, their treatment is poor. Turkeys are fattened up to the point of disfigurement. Their internal organs do not develop properly, and externally, their beaks are purposely deformed as to not harm their handlers. The manufacturing of meat is extremely gruesome, with their feathers, heads, and feet being removed before entering a series of machines to bundle them up for sales. Maintaining turkey populations also helps maintain indigenous practices as well. Making the possession of plumage of birds illegal excludes indigenous peoples from their religious practices and artworks, where pre-contact, the harvesting of feathers and meats were practiced sustainably. This statement does not yet apply to the turkey, but if the bird were to reach a protected status, then those bureaucratic obstacles would arise. In addition to this, birds are indicator species. Their presence in a habitat suggests that the environment is healthy and thriving. A healthy environment is both good for avian life and human life. Conservation of the environment is also conservation of indigenous practices.